Well, good late afternoon, everybody. Ron Wheeler here. Good to have all of you with us for tonight's presentation, or I should say that this late, I don't know, tonight, late afternoon. It's like almost 5 o'clock here in Ohio. So it can go either way on that one. Late afternoon if you're in California, good evening if you're in Europe, whatever. It's going to be a good webinar, I promise. You get my jokes for free. So that's a value add to our presentation tonight. We're going to start officially in about 5 minutes, but I always like to start the class just a little bit early to make sure that everything is working, the audio is working, the video is working, and all that great stuff. So do me a favor, if you can see my screen, I'm going to change the slide real quick here so I know that's working. It should say on air. Type yes if you can hear me and see my screen. That would be great. That way I know that everything is working. Probably like twice a year, I start doing broadcasts and forget to turn things on. So I'm like 3 minutes in the broadcast. I'm like, why is nobody talking to me? And I look, I'm like, oh, I'm basically talking to myself because I didn't start anything. Yeah, you get that sometimes, right? All right, Greg and Jerry, and Cool Beans. Looks like you guys can hear me. Oh, there we go. Ramesh and Bill and Raj. All right, cool. Okay. Alexa, stop timer. Sorry. My my Alexa in my office is going bonkers. I'm going to unplug her because she's annoying me. See, that's why I start the classroom early. That way I can find all these weird things that are going on in the background. So good. Looks like you guys are all chiming in here and saying you guys can hear me and see my screen. That's great. Thank you for letting me know. Also, let me know what time it is by you. I mentioned earlier that we're going to start the presentation officially at 5. It's like 4:57 here in Ohio. I am from Ohio. I was born and raised here. Pretty much lived here all my life. My colleagues work at the other VectorVest office down in North Carolina. We have kind of an administrative and data office in Ohio that I work out of. So I'm in Ohio. Always kind of curious to see where everybody's from. Kind of a neat thing. I see Bill, you're 4:57, 2 p.m. Greg, Arizona. So you're definitely in the good afternoon. I see California. I see a couple of Torontos. Montreal. It's cool. All right, a couple of guys out west. I was telling the earlier class I did one of these earlier today, and it's like that's one of the things I like about when I'm out on the West Coast, whether it's the West Coast like California or Seattle or Arizona for the most well not really Arizona but Nevada like if I'm in Vegas or something which I haven't been in a while. The great thing is, man, if you're watching the markets, you can get up early, but you're done by like 2 o'clock, which is awesome. So nice to be out west for that kind of stuff or in Portugal. I almost wanted to move to Portugal once when I was trading a lot of currencies. I guess Portugal is like the perfect time to do that, where you can catch Europe and then you can catch the morning of the U.S. time. I don't know, just rambling by. Cool. Florida, I see, and I see another couple of you folks here in the East Coast time frame with me. That's awesome. So it looks like most of us here are in North America, whether it's Canada or somewhere in the continental United States. That's great. And then I'm kind of curious, what do you do for a living? You retired? Um, I originally, when I first put this curriculum together, it was originally designed for retirees, somebody that's looking to supplement their already, income, their retirement income. But, listen, I found over the years that I have clients of all ages. I've taught this to someone as little as 14 and old as like 95. You know, I feel like everybody wants more income, even myself at 48. What you're going to see throughout the presentation this early evening or late afternoon, depending where you're joining me from, is you're really going to see the method of how I've grown as a trader over my 27-year career, from being a very aggressive day trader to becoming more of a conservative trader where I only like to trade for maybe an hour a week and still have good results. So I always said that the kind of trading that I do is good for somebody that's retired, full-time job. It's not quite retired yet because you can put so little effort into this and not spend a lot of time. So yeah, I see a lot of you guys are retired, sales, medical. Okay. So I would say still the majority of you, it looks like based on your responses, are retired. That's great. I am hoping to be retired within the next, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever retire. I come from a long line of family that doesn't retire. They just work forever. My mom's like 76 and she still works. I don't know why. She's perfectly fine, but she just doesn't want to quit. That's my doctor. My doctor's like 77 years old, my primary care doctor, and he's never going to quit. He comes from a farming family, never going to quit. He's just going to work until it's over. God bless him. But when I say I'm going to work, I'll probably do trading, but not like do presentations and things. All right. Well, anyway, it's 5 o'clock. So let's cut out the chit chat and let's get started because I really have a lot of great stuff to show you today. So our webinar is called How to Generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. And in this webinar, I'm going to be showing you the system that I developed through the years here at VectorVest to help you generate income in any market. So the information that I'm going to share with you has not only changed my life and my trading and my style and how much effort I put into this, that's me. I've seen this change the lives of so many people that I've taught this to over the last 8 years. So I hope you're excited about it as well. In the webinar, you're going to see how you can begin making a paycheck averaging around 3% per month or even more. And you can do this regardless of market direction. You're going to be able to do this if you have little to no prior experience because I'll teach you from the ground floor. It's safer than if you go out there and just buy or short sell stocks, and it's something that you can implement quickly. Now, I know it may sound too good to be true. You might be thinking, is it legit? You'd want some proof. I agree, okay? Skepticism is a good thing to have when it comes to things like this. So I would too. So, I see unfortunately all the annoying hyper ads of, I'm a great trader. I'm 19 years old and I just bought this house. It's all Airbnbs and rented luxury cars and jets and all that stuff. That's not the way the real world works. I've been doing this far too long to be doing that kind of stuff. I just like to let the results of my own trading and what I do with my clients show. This is my results from 2023. I trade a $100,000 account. My total P&L for last year was $37,226.24. Okay? And if you take that over 12 months, I averaged 3% per month. That's my goal. I've been doing this for VectorVest now for 8 years. I've hit that goal 5 out of 8 years. The other years were still profitable, but not quite at that 3% level. One was like 2%, one was like 2.5%. I think the lowest I had was like averaging 1.5%, like a 16 or 17% return. So I've done very well at this using this methodology. You can see that my win rate last year, my win rate was a little bit low at 59%. I think that's low, but I'm happy with it. My average winning trade's 1,000. My average losing trade's 1,000. So I don't have big losses. My losses that I have are all, proportional to my wins. You can also see that I don't make money every single month. I average, when it's all said and done, about 3% per month, but I don't, always make 3%. In fact, last year I started off with a little bit of drawdown and then throughout the year kind of made up from that, of course. And I really ended the year strong in the last 4 months of last year. It made a lot of money in the last 4 months. It was really nice. So that's kind of how a system works. You're going to have months where you make money. You're going to have months where you might have some drawdown. But when we do this trading, you're going to have more winning weeks than losing weeks, more winning months than losing months, and it's all going to average out to around 3% per month, majority of the time. Now, in 2024, I'm still missing my last 3 months, but you'll have to take my word for it. In the first 3 months, my official return was about 11%, if I'm doing my math correctly. A little bit of drawdown in January, February, and March. April, May, and June, I was a little bit under where I normally like to be. I probably made 3 or 4% in April, May, and June. I'm having a little bit of drawdown in July right now. July's still not over yet. I still got another week or so of trading, and I've got a couple winning trades I've locked in so far. So I am having a little bit of drawdown in July. But overall for the year, I think I'm up around, I want to say 15 or 16%. So I'm about halfway there to my target. Win rate, 57%. Average winner, 887. Average loser, 755. So those are the trades that I take in front of my clients. I have a real-time coaching class that I do, and those are trades that I take every week live. So they're not stuff I do like behind the scenes. I do everything I do in front of people. I've been teaching this now in VectorVest since 2016. And one of my recent students sent me an email back in December. He said, "Hey, Ron, I just want to thank you and the team for the SPX Paycheck course in September. I've been using the method and tracking my performance and thought you'd like to see the results. I earned my first 35 Delta trade on September 21st with only 5,000 in my margin account. Now, less than 3 months later, I'm already up 24%. Thanks again. I'll be teaching this method to my retire in-laws and help them grow their account in retirement." I love to hear that. I love to hear it because, of course, I like to see student success. But the more I hear it, it also means that the presentation, the teaching, it's resonating, it's working. And there's also a lesson in here. Carrie started with $5,000. So you don't have to trade 100 grand like I do. You can start small and let that money grow. In fact, if you start with a $5,000 account and you average that 3% per month, okay, over 10 years, compounded returns would get you to, a really nice number. 15 years puts you at $1,000,000. If you started with a little bit more, like 25,000, you'll be at $1,000,000 after 10 years. Talking some serious money. If you have more than that, you can get there even much, much quicker. So you can start small, you can start big, you can start midpoint. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and their results with you. We're going to talk about a few of them today. So these are real people just like you. And as I teach you the system today and share their stories, I want you to pay attention. You might find you're in a similar position now as they were when they started. I mentioned earlier that my name is Ron Wheeler, and I am the options trading manager here at VectorVest. I've been trading now for 27 years. I started back in 97. I started as a commodities day trader. So I would day trade like the S&P futures. I would position trade things like corn and wheat and all that kind of stuff. And like a lot of people, I didn't exactly have a great start to my trading career. I lost money like a lot of people do, and they're kind of learning their way around. I had some good advantages though. I actually worked for a company, not VectorVest at the time, that developed trading software. So I had some really good people to teach me how to trade after I kind of gave up and went to them for help. Now, one of the reasons why I lost money at first was really the reason why a lot of people lose money at first. To become a good investor or trader, however you want to put it, I always use those terms, independently, or I use those terms, the same. But you have to first learn how to find direction in whatever you're trading. If you think something's going to go up, you buy it, it's got to go up, right? If you think something's going to go down, you can sell it, sell short. Either way, it's got to go down for you to make money. Once you get the hang of that, you also kind of have to get the hang of risk management. It's no good if you're 80% right, but on your losing trades, you're taking out all the gains of your winners. So you have to juggle a couple things to be a good, successful trader. Well, I learned how to trade. I learned how to do commodities, and I did very well at it. I dabbled with options a little bit, never really liked options. I was an option hater, I guess you could say. Well, one of my clients at the time, he actually was an option trader, and it turned out, I didn't know it at the time, he worked for a hedge fund. Well, he was a client of ours, and he decided that he wanted to come into the office to pay us a visit because he was in town. And we always love that. We love to see our clients and meet them in person. So he came in, he said, Ron, I know you don't like options. I've talked to you for years about this, but let me show you what we do at the institution level. Well, long story short, he showed me kind of like the institutional secrets of options trading. He showed me how to take the analysis that I was doing, set up a trade using an option trade to where even if I was wrong, if I thought something was going to go up and it didn't, I could still make money. Then he showed me how you can set up option trades to limit your risk, right? So no matter what the trade did, I had a maximum risk and I could depend on that to set my risk management criteria. I said, nobody ever showed me options this way before. It's very interesting. That really kind of really opened up, like a light bulb went off in my head. I'm like, this is some interesting stuff. So I started dabbling with options more and more. And as I got kind of burned out from spending, 8 hours a day in front of my computer as a day trader, I started to rely a little bit more on options to make money. And probably about 15 years ago is when I really made the big switch to where I started doing option trades a lot more than commodity trades. And probably over the last 10, 12 years, I've been probably 99% options trades. And it all started from that visit that I had from one of our clients. It was an eye-opening experience. Think of the pressure that takes off you. You don't even have to be right to make money. The risk reward is known up front. It's a beautiful thing. Now, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you on a very similar journey. I'm going to show you the exact system I use to generate the returns that I can get. I'm going to show you case studies and examples of our clients who are doing this. And I'm going to show you our system so that if you learn and follow the strategy, you can ultimately do the same. Now, if you stay with me to the end, I put together a little checklist for you. It can help you plan out trades, kind of like the way I do it. It's a PDF. We'll put it right in the handout section. Go to webinar. I'll drop it right in there. So you can click on it, print it out, start looking at it today. Just remind me when we get to the end, because usually after about an hour of talking, I completely forget about that. Okay? All right. Why is this such an important topic? Well, if you don't have an income system, that means it's on you, and that creates a number of problems. If you're not retired, it keeps you stuck in a situation where you have to work in order to live. Whether you got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finance are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether we'll have enough or if we're going to run out of money, that can have a huge impact on your life, your health, even your relationship. If you're already retired, you might be watching your savings get depleted faster than you can fill it, especially with prices going up so much like they have in the last 4 or 5 years. If things don't improve, you may fear you'll continue to have losses that draw down your account. You may even fear you'll have to give up investing and go back to work. Worst case scenario, if you're retired, you're going to run out of money. Now, with a system that helps you generate income, things are a lot different. I think this is probably the most important point of the webinar, so pay attention, even write it down. In order to be financially free, you need income. To be financially free, you need to learn to generate that income from your investments that you already have. That way they cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So I'll say it again. In order to become financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Now, whether you're still working or you're retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Because when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life changes. If you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but they keep paying you. It's like a tap you can turn on whenever you want. That's going to allow you to do the things you want to do now and when you retire. When you've got a system to help you generate income, it can help you retire younger. So as I said, I think this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'll say it one more time. When the income from your investments exceeds your living expenses, you become financially free. You have the ability to retire. For example, Brian's a client of ours who's a great example of how easy you can become proficient at drawing an income from the market, even if you don't want to start a lot to start with. Brian said he had some health problems and needed a way to supplement his income. By using the options paycheck, he was able to generate $23,000 in profits, and he started with only 6 grand. He said he had 100% winning trades in 10 months, 31 of 31 winning trades, using our most basic system. Now, the key point here is this. It's not beginner's luck. It was the result of following a good system. It's the system that helped Brian get 100% winning trades and create that $23,000 in profit in 10 months safely. Now, the first thing you need to know to take control of your returns is a bit of a strategic mindset shift. The same conversation that I had with that hedge fund manager back in the day. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being an option seller is the way you can make consistent income each month. It allows you to win even if you're wrong. The reason you want to be the casino or the house is that, well, the house always wins. They win because they control and they stack probability in their favor. You know, there's the expression that Las Vegas was built on a 1% house edge. A little bit more than that depending on the game, but they do that transaction hundreds and thousands of times a day, and they build billion-dollar resorts, right? What we do in the options paycheck system is do the same thing. We build our rules around stacking the odds massively in your favor. Now, make a note of this. If you want to control your returns and results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. And the obvious question is, well, how do you do it? That first step is the shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. Let me explain. Bruce is a great example of that shift from gambling on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking probability. He said prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from brokers. He focused on our SPX income system, which is our most basic trading system, as he's not the most technical person in the world. But in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from 100,000 to 497,000 in 3.5 years. He said he's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. And the whole system takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. Here's an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make. You find a stock you like, you think it's going to go up, so you can either buy shares of the stock or you would buy a call option. Now, why do you buy a call option? Well, because when you first started learning options, it's what you were taught to do. But what ends up happening a lot of times? Either the stock doesn't go up or it doesn't go up enough, and the call you bought ends up expiring worthless. Has that ever happened to you? Yes? Well, what's the problem that's causing you to lose? Most people feel the problem is they picked the wrong stock, or maybe they picked the wrong option strike price, the wrong option expiration. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not necessarily your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. This is how you can put probability on your side. This is how you can win even if you're wrong. So let me take a closer look here at how you sell options. Now, as a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner. Because when you buy, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. So instead of having a buyer's mentality, we're going to approach this with a seller's mentality. Instead of just hoping a stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability. Probability will tell you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of just needing the stock to go up, the stock's trading at 204, just go up from there. What we've done is we've created a area where as long as the stock stays above 195, we can make money on this trade. Think about that. You can pick a price down there. In this case, it's about $8, almost $9 underneath the stock. And as long as the stock stays above that level, you can profit on the trade. If the stock goes sideways, you can make money. If it goes down a little bit, you can still make money. So right from the very beginning, probability is in your favor. And you can even increase that probability in cases even more. You simply choose a lower price, which gives you a bigger area where you can be right. We do a lot of our trades that can start off with a 70% chance of success. You can only do this as an option seller. Now, as a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor, and this is the definition of an income trade. An income trade is where you can make money even if you are wrong on direction. Now, Bruce continues to trade with us every week. In fact, he posted in our private group and said, another day of trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools we do that we can use from anywhere. That is a great picture of financial freedom. Now, Mike's another one of our clients. He was someone that dabbled with options, but said he lost on each trade. Have you ever been there? Can you imagine how frustrating that must be to lose on each trade? Well, eventually he just gave up. He tried to learn more about options, but he said he never felt comfortable he knew what he was doing. He said he didn't have any set criteria. So Mike and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system of being an option seller, and he said he became like an income machine. After he learned the system, he immediately went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of over 12 grand in 4 months. And the key lesson here is that switch going from buyer or gambler to seller or the house, that turned his situation around. He was even so proud of his success, he sent me a spreadsheet of his trades. Here's Mike's results. Notice the number of winners compared to the number of losers. That's pretty typical. Also, notice the length of the trades. You got 2, 3, 4, 5, 11. He's pulling in about $1,000 every 7 to 11 days. Now, if you're like Mike and most of our students, you can begin trading the SPX, which is an index that tracks the S&P 500. It involves only one trade per week and has averaged about 4.4% per month since 2016. Now, that's compounded returns. Remember earlier I showed you how if you start with 5,000, it builds up quickly? Same thing here. You're seeing compounded returns. The odds are stacked in your favor on these trades. The big thing here is we're not looking for one big home run trade to become a millionaire overnight. You're growing your account steadily each year. And that's the key takeaway. You know, home runs look good, but singles are what win the games. These singles are what enable you to never run out of money and to be able to do the things you want to do. Now, you've seen by flipping that script from buyer to seller, you can stack the odds significantly in your favor. Now, we're going to stack the odds even further in your favor by understanding and capitalizing on the 3 most common buyers or gamblers' mistakes. Mistake number one is that buyers choose unrealistic strike prices. They choose strikes that are so far away, the stock has no chance of hitting it. Here's a stock. Let's say someone's bullish on the stock. A mistake a lot of option buyers make is they buy calls with strike prices way up here. Why do they buy these options if the stock has a very little chance of going up that high? Well, mainly they do it because they're cheap. Many buyers treat options like lottery tickets. Most of the time they lose. They're like the gamblers. Now, since there's always going to be buyers out there who buy these options, you may as well be the one who sells it to them. You're selling an option that has a low probability of getting hit. You're essentially saying, I don't think this stock's going to go to 230 in the next month. And since it has a low probability of getting hit, you have a high probability of winning. And the same goes for puts, by the way. There's people who buy puts way down below here, either as lottery tickets or cheap insurance. Again, it doesn't really matter why they're buying puts. The fact is, there's always buyers out there who are buying those options with such low probabilities of making money. Now, since again, there's always buyers out there, you may as well be the one who sells it to them. Selling these options gives you a 60 to 90% probability of success right from the very start of the trade. The second mistake that buyers make is they choose expiration dates that are simply too close to the current date. It's like going to the grocery store and seeing a piece of steak on the discount rack. It's cheap, but it's going to be worthless very soon. And the same is true for options. Here you see what happens to the price of an option in relation to the number of days to expiration. Notice in the upper left-hand corner, right about here, that's 180 days to expiration. And you can see the value of that option decline all the way here where it's worth nothing at 0 days. Now, notice in the last 45 days, right about there, it really starts to lose. In fact, it took 135 days for that option to lose half its value, but only the remaining 45 days to lose the rest of it. A lot of option buyers buy their options in this area because they're cheap. But again, it's like a lottery ticket. By doing this, you're stacking the probability against you. So instead of buying options in that window, we are going to sell options in that window. And to be more specific, we're selling options that are typically 21 to 45 days away from expiration. Okay? So you can remember that. We sell 21 to 45 days in expiration. Here's another way of looking at it. This is Home Depot. Most buyers go out there, they buy an option maybe a month and a half away. Let's call it 40 days. But that's too close. Notice how the value of the option is dropping just because it's getting close to expiration. If you buy something and it loses value, that's not good, right? This is very bad for the option buyer, but this is good for the option seller. My goal is to sell an option for a lot of money and watch that option lose all of its value. The more the option loses the value, the more money I can make. We're going to let this, what's called time decay, work in our favor. Remember, there's always going to be people buying options that have expiration dates too close. Let them. We may as well be the one who sells them to the option. Let it be the gambler. You be the casino. You're always going to win in the end. Now, the third mistake that option buyers make is they simply pay too much. They buy what's called an overpriced option. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Pay attention to this one. A lot of people don't know this. Here's two stocks. I want you to look at the top. Notice both stocks are around the same price. They're about 76 bucks. But even though the two stocks have the same price, look at the different value of the option. Over on the left, that option's going for $910. Over on the right, the premium is $180. Same strike price, same expiration, same stock price. Why are they so different? Because that option on the left has extremely high volatility, and that leads to the option being very, very overpriced. Buyers who buy these options, they're simply paying too much. Well, what's the big deal, right? You have a lot of money in your account. You can afford it. Who cares? Watch what happens when a buyer who buys an option that is overpriced happens. Both stocks, they go up $8 per share from 76 to 84. Now let's see what happens to the value of the options. Even though both stocks rose, the overpriced option on the left actually lost money. Think about that. The buyer actually got direction right and still lost. Why did they lose? They lost because that buyer paid too much. Over on the right, that option returned like 400 plus percent in premium. You made a 400% return. Over on the left, you simply paid too much. Now, instead of buying those overpriced options, we are going to be the seller of those. Think about that. As a seller, you're going to be wrong on direction and still make money. When an option is extremely expensive like this, it allows us to stack even more probability in our favor, and it decreases massively the amount of risk of the trade. We want to find these overpriced, high-valued options and sell them. Now, one of the most interesting stories I've heard is from Bob. He said prior to working with us, he was making a bunch of the mistakes we talk about, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he ended up either broke or bankrupt 3 times. In his own words, said he came close to living under a bridge. The options paycheck system helped him turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He turned those mistake liabilities into strategies to control and stack probability in his favor. In 4 months, he grew his account by 71% and achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Remember, if you want to control your returns and your results, you have to learn how to control and stack probability in your favor. And it all starts with that strategic shift to being an option seller. Now, let me ask you, I want to turn it over to you. In the chat, I'll give you guys a couple seconds here. Have any of you ever made any of those options mistakes? Have any of you ever made any of those mistakes I just talked about? Yep, I see it. Yes, 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 of course. Done that quite a few times. Listen, I told you early on that I was really not a big fan of options. These are the 3 reasons why. Listen, we've all made these mistakes. It's not your fault. You were simply taught a broken system. Now, you want to be an option seller, right? Hopefully at this point you're seeing the advantages of being an option seller. Let's look at how to trade with very, very little risk, because when a lot of people hear option selling, and especially the term, selling, they start thinking it's very, very risky, right? The options paycheck system we use is a very low risk strategy. It's why we actually recommend this. It's a core strategy we teach our retirees. Why is reducing risk so important? Most people who don't use the options paycheck system, they're not preserving their capital. They have one bad trade wipe out all the gains from a bunch of winners. That makes it very hard in a long time to recover their losses. But when you do this right with the right system in place, you're going to have a built-in protection plan. You can take care of risk management before you even open the trade. When you can select the right stock, set your trades up in ways that reduce risk, it allows you to preserve and grow your capital. Like I said earlier, home runs look good, but singles are what win the games. Now, one of the most common questions I get is, can I trade this from an IRA? Well, a client of ours, John, grew his IRA over 112% in 1 year using the options paycheck system. He said he had tried and struggled for trading with some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and he turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. In 12 months, he said he had an 85% winning trade rate and more than double the size of his IRA while spending no more than 15 minutes per day in his trading. Now, the options paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk before you even open the trade. First, we choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we try to find stocks that are rising in price when the market is rising as well. Very similar to what you would see here. Then, from the option side, we don't sell options naked. We're going to sell with protection. So let me show you how to do this. Traditional option selling system leaves you with all this risk down here. Now, the option paycheck system shrinks your risk to this. So let me show you how this works. This, again, is a graph of a typical stock we'd be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph, so it's understandable why you'd want to buy the stock, right? Now, traditionally, people would go out and they'd buy the stock here. Maybe even a call. Maybe they'd use a call option and buy the call right around the strike price. That's great, but we're not going to do that anymore. We're sellers. What we're going to do when we think a stock is going to go up, we choose a price underneath the stock. So the stock's trading at 138, I'm rounding up, and we're going to choose 135. Now, when we sell that option, we're going to receive premium. We're going to get paid. In this case, we're going to get paid $200 per contract. Now, just like when you buy something, you have a trade on. At a later date, you have to either get rid of the trade, take your profits, or get rid of the trade and take a loss. Because you're selling an option, it's still the same thing. When you sell an option, you have a trade on. Later on, you're going to have to exit that trade at some point, whether it's for a win or a loss. So we're not keeping this option forever. Now, the problem is this. When you sell the put, all the risk is down here. So when you sell a put is a contract. And what that contract says is you are willing to buy the stock at $135 if the person that bought the option wants you to do so. So when you sell the put, you are taking on the potential obligation to buy the stock for 135. Now listen, as long as the stock stays above 135, you're in the clear. Nobody's going to force you to buy the stock if the stock's above 135. It's ridiculous. But what happens if something crazy happens and all of a sudden the market drops by 50% and you're sitting at $100 a share or $90 a share and you've got this obligation saying, hey, you may have to be forced to buy the stock at 135. Now the stock's at 100. Now you got a big loss on your hands. Well, there you go. One bad trade wipes out a ton of gains. So here's what we're going to do to protect you. We're going to take that premium that we collected. We're going to move a little bit farther down and we're going to cap the risk right here. How? By taking some of that money that we collected and buying an insurance policy. We are going to buy a put. It cost us something though. That put cost me $100. So instead of collecting $200 in this trade, now I'm going to collect $100. If I did this trade on 10 contracts, I would collect $1,000. Now, here is the theoretical outcome of this trade. As long as the stock stays above $135, what's going to happen is those options are going to start to lose value. That's a good thing. You have to kind of do that mindset shift one more time as an option seller. If you've been a buyer all these years, you're used to, okay, I'm going to buy the stock at 138. If it goes to 140, I'm going to take profits and exit the trade. So you're expecting the value of your positions to rise to make money as a buyer. Now it's the reverse. I sell this trade for $1,000. As long as the stock goes up, heck, even stays sideways, the value of those options are going to start to decline. I sold when I entered the trade and I collected $1,000. My goal is to keep that until the options decline by 50% or 500. When that happens, I'm going to exit the trade. Okay? No different than if you short sold a stock. You're not in that stock forever, right? You're in it for a particular period of time until it meets your profit target. An option trade is no different. Now, as long as this thing stays above 135, we can still make money. If the trade drops below 135, we are going to exit the trade and take a small proportional loss. Now, that insurance is kind of like disaster insurance. What happens if all of a sudden the stock drops down 50%? Uh-oh, now you're forced to buy the stock at 135, but that option, that put that you bought, gives you the right to go and turn around and sell that stock for 130. You've capped your risk to $5. Okay, you can't lose any more than that. Now, I want you guys to know two things. Number one, in 15 years of doing this, I've never actually had to go out there and buy stock. I've never been assigned an option. I've never had to use my insurance policy to protect the trade. It's never happened. Because I exit the trades before that occurs. And that's it right here. 135, you're out of the trade. on to the next trade, you take your small proportional loss. Okay? An option trade is no different than a stock trade. You're going to get into it, you're going to hit your profit target, you're going to get out. You're going to get into it. If it goes the wrong way, it hits your stop price, you're going to get out. Done. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to set up a couple trades with you guys. Now, these are trades that I did last year with my students. Okay, live trades that I did. Now, I'm going to be showing you some numbers, so pay attention here to these ones. Now, first and foremost, I want to talk about market direction. If the stock market is bullish, we're going to be placing bullish trades. We trade in the direction of the market. And I'm going to be looking for probability of at least 60% of winning. Okay, just to give you guys a head start, a little bit of tips so you kind of get an idea of what I'm looking for here. All right, this is a trade I took back last year in around June. This is PHM, Pulte, home builder. Nice big uptrend, right? So let's zoom in closer. The stock is trading at 76.05. I typically trade monthly options. I don't mind trading weekly options occasionally, but I pretty much typically trade monthly options. That's where you're going to find the most liquidity. So I go out here, and I can venture to say, based on where this is in the calendar, this option probably about 25 days away from expiration. So remember, I sell 21 to 45. That's probably about 25 days to expiration. I think the stock's going to go up. So what I need to do now is I'm going to go look at all of my puts that are below the current price of the stock. And the way this works, options, if you didn't know it, give you probability. They give you a percentage. If you have a broker like Thinkorswim or IB or Fidelity or E-Trade, they all have this percentage. They might have probability calculators. And that tells you where the stock is not likely to go. So if I go out to my option chain and I look at the options, if I sell a $75 put, I have a 56% chance of being above that price, $75, the stock is at 76, to expiration. Okay, I have a 76% or a 56% chance of success. If I go down and sell a $73 put down here, that happens to give me a 73% chance of success because the stock, as long as it stays in this area right here, I win. Now, if I go out there and instead I choose a 91% probability at $70 down here, I give myself a 91% because as long as the trade stays above that price down there, I win. Okay? I'm not talking about the insurance. I'm just talking about how we choose the option we want to sell. We base it on probability. Now, without knowing anything else, if I just came to you and said, hey, are you interested in a 56% winning strategy, a 73% winning strategy, or a 91% winning strategy? Be honest. Which one would you pick? Be honest with me. Right. Most of you are saying 91%. You're right. I would choose the same thing. But remember that slide I showed you where one bad apple wipes out a bunch of good apples? This is what can happen when you focus too much on probability. I can actually show you trades that are 90% right. But on those winners, maybe you make $100 in every winning trade, and when you have the loss, you lose $1,500. What good is that? 9 winning trades, you make $900. 1 loser, you lose $1,500. That's no good. That's what happens when you try to stack too much probability on your side. Like anything in life, too much of something is not good, right? Heck, you can drink too much water and die from it. Water's good for you, though, but in moderation. Probability is really good for you also in moderation. Now, I like to be in the 60 to 70 percentile success rate here. So in this particular trade, I'm going to choose that 73% probability. 56 is a little bit too low, 91% is too high, 70 is just right. I feel like I'm telling the Three Bears story. Anyway, that trade is called a bull put spread. Aptly named. Why? Because I'm bullish. I think the stock's going to go up, bull. Puts, because I'm doing puts. I'm selling a $73 put, and I'm simultaneously buying a $70 put. Spread, because there's a $3 difference between my strike prices, 73 and 70. Okay? Now, When I take this trade, I'm going to collect about $1,750, right around that number. All right. How do I know that? Because I generally set up my trades right in the $1,500 range. So every time I take a trade, I trade enough contracts to get me around a $1,500 gain. Sometimes it's a little bit over that based on risk. Now, what I want to see happen is I want to see the stock stay above 73, but technically I just want it to stay above this. Now, if the stock moves very, very quickly in my direction like this, I can make money very, very fast. This trade only took me 3 days, and I was able to exit the trade for an $876 profit. 876. I originally collected about 1750. When the value of the option dropped by 50%, I exited the trade and I get to keep 50% of what the premium paid to me was. And now I'm out of the trade. Okay? And as long as the stock stays above 73, I stay in the trade and I still have a chance to make money. If the stock were to drop below that price down here, I would exit the trade and take a small proportional loss. So I'm not staying in this trade till expiration. History, back testing, and everything has shown us that you get more profits overall and you're better off with your success rate if you take a 50% profit and exit the trade. You don't want to stay in the trade, giving the trade more time to go against you. Now, this is a bearish trade. So when the market turns bearish like it did for a while back last year, I do bearish trades. This happens to be in late May of last year. Now, this is Target. Target got beat down pretty good last year. And then also, if you take a look, it dropped below that previous support level right there. That's big for me. I love it when stocks drop below a prior support level. So that stock is trading at $131. I'm just going to round it up to 131. Now, I think the stock's going to go down. Okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to pick a price somewhere up here and say, I think it's going to stay below this price. Very similar to the way I do puts, I go to my option chain and I see that I've got a couple options I can choose from. Okay? I can sell a 135 option. Remember, the stock's at 131, so I can give myself around a $4 cushion to be wrong. I can sell a 140, that's going to give me about a $9 cushion to be wrong. Or I can sell a 145, that's going to give me about a $14 cushion to be wrong. But remember, the more probability you have, that's not very good because that risk starts to become intolerable. Now, let me ask you a question. Now you have a little bit more knowledge about which option you would choose. Share with me in the chat window, which option do you think would be the best to sell in this example, based on what we've talked about so far? All right, I see a lot of you answering C. C, that's good. I like C. C is great for me. I'm a big fan of that. Jerry, Reginald, you guys are saying C. I see a lot of you guys saying B. Nobody's saying A. All right, that's good. So who's right, B or C? The answer is you're both right. Everybody who said B, you are absolutely correct. Everybody said C, you're absolutely correct. Now the question is which one do you actually use? Now this is where risk comes into the picture. What we're going to do when we look at these trades, I'm going to analyze the risk of these trades. And I'm going to kind of run them through a very quick risk reward scenario. What is the most probability that I can get in my trade while making sure my risk isn't too high? So 64% is fine. But because this option was very overpriced, I was able to go a little bit higher in probability and choose B. So this trade is called a bear call spread. Bear, because I'm bearish. Call, now I'm using calls. I'm not using puts anymore. I'm selling a 140 call and then I'm buying a 145 as my insurance. In this trade, I took in about $1,500. So when I entered the trade with my broker, I get paid $1,500. Okay? My goal is to stay in this trade until I see a $750 gain. That means the options have to decline in value until they're worth about $750. Then I exit the trade by paying the broker $750. The trade is neutralized, the risk goes off the table. I keep the difference in what I was paid when I started and what I had to pay when I exited. Now, this trade's a little more typical. I made about 765 profit, and it took about 7 trading days. And as you can see, the stock went sideways for the most part. It was already at 131. It eventually dropped down to like 127, so it didn't even move that far. But that was enough for me to get my 50% profits on that trade. Okay? All right, another client I work with is Jim. He said prior to working with me, he told me his results were very inconsistent. He felt unsatisfied. He kept thinking there had to be something else out there that was better. You ever felt that way? There's something more out there. Jim said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing and provide more of a regular income and had a higher probability of success. After learning the options paycheck system, he told me he had 21 winners in a row and returned 76% in about 8 months. His average trade lasted about 8 days. Can you imagine how that must feel to be going from inconsistent to where all your trades are generating income? Well, that was Jim. What about you? What if you were able to implement this system in your portfolio and you were able to do what Jim did? What would an income system like this allow you to do in your own life? Now, I know a couple of you are still working. Maybe retire earlier. For those of you that are retired, improve the quality of your life, play more golf, travel more, another cruise. All those sound pretty good to me, and I'm 48. I'm saying those because they sound pretty darn good to me right now. I have 3 kids that are like, 3 years old, 4 years old, and 7 years old. I'm a late bloomer with kids, so I always joke that, when I retire, it'll be my Social Security money paying my kids' college tuition. So I need this income to to live. But think about what that'll allow you to do. Okay? Think about that. We said before that buying is gambling. Selling is about controlling risk and putting the odds of success in your favor to generate income. The option paycheck system makes sure you have a guaranteed maximum risk. And it all goes back to whether you'd rather be the gambler or the casino. Now, keep in mind, the house always wins in the end. Being an option seller is the way that you can make consistent income each month. It allows you to do it safer and with a higher probability of success than simply buying and selling stocks. Now, let's put this together. I want to show you how you can have a bulletproof system in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, my students who've implemented the system have told me this is one of the most important things they learned. Why? Because one of the biggest things people ask me is how much time is it going to take me? Nobody wants to be a 40-hour-a-week trader, very few people. And it's a great question, but here's the challenge. There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to find the right stock with the right strategy. When do you get in? What expiration? When do you get out? What if it goes against you? All that stuff. And people feel like it's trying to find a needle in a haystack because there's so much information out there, you don't know where to look. You spend hours putting trades together, going from guru to guru looking for advice. Without a system, you're trading blind. It's like a mouse running through the maze, bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's stressful. It's disheartening. But with the right system, you can identify good trades, get reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. But to do it, you need a system, and not just any system, a straight line system, a really simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find them, how to set them up, and how to manage them. So let me walk you through the pieces of the options paycheck system, the order they go in. No one else teaches option selling this way. This is like the secret sauce. There's 6 pieces, the top 5 build on each other, and then the 6th kind of like puts a bow on it, if you will, ties it all together. We start at the top. We start with market direction. And a lot of traders just ignore this. They go out and start placing trades. I'm going to go bullish and bearish and this and that. You're going to be placing trades that are either bullish or bearish, never at the same time. Okay? By doing this, you're narrowing your focus. So instead of looking at everything, you're looking at one of 2 possible scenarios. We have a market timing signal built into the options paycheck system that tells us when we should be bullish or bearish. Now that you know the direction of the market, you want to find stocks that are likely to move in that same direction. So don't just trade the stocks you know or find out things from IBD or CNBC. It's not the right choice. You want to find good stocks already rising in price when the market's rising. Find bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market's falling. We save you a lot of time in 2 ways. We look at fundamentals and we look at price trend, i.e. the charts, the graphs. Okay? We have pre-built searches we use in our VectorVest platform. That saves you a ton of time instead of digging through all that data that you get thrown. Now that you got your list of stocks, we need to find a way to select the best ones for option trading. Not every stock is going to be a good options trade. Remember earlier we talked about volatility? We got to focus on selling options with high volatility. But to take more risk out of the trade, we filter out those with upcoming earnings. Remember earlier I talked about what if the stock loses half of its value? A lot of times it's an earnings event. We stay away from those. We also make sure that we're choosing the right expiration so we stay in the sweet spot. Okay? You can use brokers that help you with this. We have a search tool on our Options Pro software that does this in minutes. Now you select your trade. You got to set it up. You got to pick the right strike price, right? That's going to give you the most probability in your trade. But then you also have to make sure you have the best risk to reward ratio. What good is being 90% right if you lose all of your winners when you lose? Okay? We want to make sure that we've got the best selection of probability based off the strike and risk reward. Now, before you place the trade, you got to know what to do if the trade goes for you or against you. I don't want you sitting in a trade like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do. We have rules to take profits at predetermined levels. You kind of already saw that. That can be set up in advance with your broker. And if a trade goes against you, we have a simple adjustment strategy that you can do that brings in more income to minimize losses. We also know when to exit a trade to take a loss. And in a lot of brokers, I can actually set that up ahead of time so I can get out of my trades very unemotionally. It's not a big deal for me. Now, lastly, you want a way to do this and to do it quickly. You don't want to be spending all day on the process, right? You want a tool that allows you to do these things, but it should be something you're comfortable using. Okay. Now, some brokers have tools that are much better than others. IB is really good. Thinkorswim is really good. Fidelity's pretty good. You might find some paid tools to be effective. I use our proprietary tools from VectorVest called Options Pro. Saves me a lot of time. Now, speaking of time, earlier we talked about Mike and Jim. Each of them is getting the results in about 15 minutes a day. Well, so is Hugh. He told me one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that was efficient and worked. He said he didn't have the proper balance between trading and free time. He didn't have that proper work-life balance. So you like that too? Do you spend too much time doing things you don't want to do and not enough time doing things you want to? Now that Hugh has learned the options paycheck system of selling options, he said he has more confidence, more free time, and is able to have more fun. In his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners and returned over $26,000 in profit in 4 months. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want to do a little exercise here. I want you to take a pen, look at the system, and mark where you're good at. So if you're really good already at finding market direction and finding stocks, put a little star there. If you're not that good at option selection, or maybe you've never traded options before, put a little frowny face there. Maybe you're okay with options, but you don't know how to set up a credit spread or a trade man. Put a frowny face where you need some work. I'm going to give you about 15 seconds. Just give yourself a quick grade. Now, I'm willing to bet maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. Now, share with me in the chat, what areas do you personally need to work on? What areas out of those, really the 6 steps, what do you need to work on to make yourself better? Because the key is you got to get smiley faces, check marks all the way down the list. I see a lot of you saying options down, trade management. I've done this before. I've not made money with it. So you risk, okay? You need to work on risk, making sure that you're getting, not losing too much on your losing trades. So the key of this exercise is to find out what you're good at and where you need to focus your attention. Because once you are able to get stars or check marks all the way down the list, you're going to be able to generate income and do it in less than 15 minutes a day. So listen, I can't know your exact reason for coming to today's webinar, but I'm going to make a few guesses. Maybe you really haven't known what to do and you feel like you're trading blindly, bumping into one wall into the next. It's left you with inconsistent results. You make a little bit of money, you give it all back on your next trade. Just like Jim did before he learned the options paycheck system. Maybe you're suffering through loss after loss, and those small losses are killing your portfolio. You're watching the money coming in, it's not exceeding the money going out. You're not where you want to be at the end of the day. Now, today, I showed you the secrets to fixing that. And again, it's a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know, and you're one of them. You saw it's possible to win even if you're wrong, and that you can do it with very little risk, even less risk than buying and selling stocks. You saw the system to get consistent income every month. I showed you just a few of the many people who use the system every day so they never have to worry about retirement again. You saw over and over the secret to generating consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. You're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows the secret. That means there's going to be 99 other investors out there who continue to do things wrong. They're going to be buying options, making all those mistakes we talked about. We can't stop them. Let them be the gamblers. As long as the gamblers are there, you may as well be the casino. Remember the old saying, the house always wins. The options paycheck system teaches you how to stack the probability of success in your favor. Just like it taught Brian and Bruce and Bob and Jim and Hugh and John. Now, if you're like most people, you're wondering, well, how do I implement this in my portfolio right now? Well, now you have a choice. Option number one is you can choose to do nothing and stay where you are. If you already have enough money, don't need any extra, and you're not worried about it, then maybe you don't need the paycheck system. But if you would like to make some extra income every month, that leaves you with two other options. Option two is you can do it alone. Try to learn how the option trades work, figure out the direction of the market, learn how to analyze the thousands of stocks, find the best options trade, make sure you're doing the right strategy, the right expiration, when to get in, when to get out. Listen, if you put in a lot of work, if you learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. But option three is just to let us guide you. I'll walk you through each piece of the option paycheck system, and in just a few weeks, you're going to have that simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. So of those three options, ask yourself, what's going to be easier for you? We find there's two types of people. Person number one is someone who dreams about their financial goals, but they never take action or do anything to make it happen. Person number two is someone who's serious about their financial future. You're ready to take action when you see an opportunity in front of you. And since you're dedicated enough to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number two, and that makes you the perfect candidate to get started on your first options paycheck. So I want to share with you what we put together for you. The options paycheck experience is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using option spreads. The paycheck experience is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches the secret to generating consistent income with options. We show you how to find the trades, set them up, manage them, generate income, how to do it safer and more consistent in any type of market condition. You never have the fear of running out of money. After going through the experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work. We're going to tell you all the fancy terms you need to know and what you don't need to know. That way you never have the fear of options again. You're going to get clear signals telling you whether to trade or not to trade. Okay? Whether to go bullish, whether to go bearish, or whether not to trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that are the best candidates using a rules-based approach. That saves up a lot of time. You're going to be able to set up income trades that give you a 70% or better historic rate, even if you've never traded an option before. You're going to have a trade management game plan in place prior to placing your trades. So you know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. You're going to be able to confidently enter and exit trades with your broker like a pro, whether it's your first trade or your 500th trade. You're going to implement a system that helps you safely and consistently generate income so you can begin to live that lifestyle you want without that fear of running out of money. The course is 8 modules, and we made them so each module builds on the one prior. So as you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer to that end goal, which is a system for consistent income. The first 2 modules are what we call the option income foundation. A lot of people try to build a successful income portfolio, but they base that portfolio on a very weak foundation of knowledge. We understand what it's like to learn options for the first time. We've been there too. That's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome from module 1 is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work so you can use them in your trades. You're going to know which terms to pay attention to, which to ignore. That way you're not wasting time or getting frustrated. Module 2, you're going to learn what a spread is and how it works. You're going to be filled with all the confidence to start building these income systems around those trades. Now that you've got that solid foundation of option knowledge, it's time to lay out the step-by-step system to placing income trades to generate your options paychecks. Each step along the way from here is going to stack probability in your favor and reduce risk. And it all starts with knowing when to trade. Here, you're going to get complete clarity on market trends. So instead of looking at all possible trades, you're going to narrow your focus. You're going to know whether to place a bullish trade or a bearish trade and even when not to trade. Now that you know the direction of the market, you're going to want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. That's going to stack probability even more in your favor. The outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that give you the highest probability. Now that you got your list of stocks, we're going to narrow it down to the best option candidates that give you the highest probability for profits. By using the rules in this module, you're going to make sure you're getting paid top dollar for your trade and make it so you can make money even if the stock goes nowhere. In 6, you're going to continue to stack probability and reduce risk by the way you set your trade up. Here, you're going to make sure the trade has the perfect combination of risk and reward. You're going to know exactly where to set your strike prices. Great trades, they don't happen by accident. They happen because of careful planning and strategically setting them up right from the start. In Module 7, you're going to learn how to have your plan in place. You've already picked out your great trade. Now you're going to know when to exit the trade, not only to take profits, but to minimize losses. You'll never be frozen like a deer in the headlights again. No matter what the market throws at you, you're going to know how to react, and that allows you to trade completely stress-free. Now that you found the best stock, you set up your low-risk, high-probability option trade, you've mapped out your management plan, now you got to place the trade. In this module, we're going to break down the trade execution phase into simple, repeatable steps that you can commit to muscle memory in no time. And if you're worried about the steps, everything we do is put into a checklist. That way you never miss a step. When someone is first starting out, it's always comforting to have that security blanket to make sure you did everything correctly. And we know that brokers can be intimidating. So in addition to several popular brokers, I happen to use Thinkorswim, so we put together some step-by-step directions for Thinkorswim that can help you be more comfortable placing your trades. Now, before I talk about the price of the course, I want to make this even more low risk for you. We offer a 100% money back guarantee on the course. You can go through the entire course. If you're not satisfied we taught you how to profit using options, notify us within a week of finishing the course. You can get your money back. It's no risk. All that we ask is that you give it your best effort. Come to the classes, watch the recordings, either or, live classes or watch recordings, combination, doesn't matter. Do the assignments, because we know if you do, you will see the results. If you don't do the work, you won't be eligible for a refund. The reason I have to set refund policy like this is because I only want to attract those who are ready, excited to jump in and do the work, get the results. I want to attract serious investors. In order to do that, when I make a tight refund policy like this, I only attract those people who are serious about getting the results. And remember, this system averages 3% per month. That's 36% per year. And it doesn't take a lot of time to do it every week. I received this email from a client who took the course. Ron, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the Options Paycheck course. I took your class last fall, wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade, and so far I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 I've taken, a 68% winning rate. I've profited over 100,000 in this time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown and taking good risk-reward trades, I've profited over 50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 76% of my last 100 trades. I only take trades with 2 to 1 or better risk-reward. I want to thank you for teaching this simple but effective system. Now listen, that's awesome stuff. Let me talk a little bit about Joe. Joe in 10 months took 350 trades. He's probably spending a little bit more than 15 minutes a day on this. That's fine. He wants to put a little bit more time into this. That's great. I take usually 10 to 15 trades a month. I have clients that take 3 to 5 trades a month. The system scales. If you're on vacation, you want to place some more trades, have at it. That's great. If you're working full time, you can only take 2 or 3 trades a week or 2 or 3 trades a month, that's fine too. It scales. But think about that $100,000 in profit. You know, if I'd have told Joe that I'd give him $2,000 in exchange for his, that I would give him $100,000 in exchange for his two, do you think he'd take that trade? Is that a trade that you would take? Well, I got a great offer for you guys as well. Now, before I talk any more about it, I want to point something out. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something you expect to become a millionaire overnight. It's serious and requires some effort on your part. So if you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. It's for serious people who are ready to take their investing seriously and who are willing to put in the time to learn the system. So if you're serious about it, ready to do the work, get the results, then the Options Paycheck experience is perfect for you. It's step-by-step training to go from full base option basics to a full complete income generating system. Just the training modules alone are worth the price of the course, but we got some great bonuses for you as well. The Mastery Package is our first bonus, and it includes module by module mastery sessions. Each week, I want you to learn 2 of the 8 modules. Then we're going to have a live mastery session dedicated to each module to help you master the course material. Then on Friday, we're going to have an additional live Q&A. That means you're going to have 3 live sessions each week, giving you plenty of opportunities to ask questions and get help. Now, the Mastery Package also includes a private dedicated email support with me and my team. Additionally, if you're not a subscriber to VectorVest or Options Pro, We're going to give you a subscription to those starting in August, running through, I think, the third week of September. Don't guarantee me on that, but through August and September to test drive some of the best tools on the planet. You don't necessarily need them, but you can give you a test drive of them. With that mastery package bonus, you're going to have the tools and support you need to master the techniques taught in the course. That way you're ready to place your first income trade in the shortest time possible. Now, the second bonus, we call this the implementation month. We talk about how we want you to start making money and trading as soon as possible. This is where we're going to help you do it. You're going to get live trading sessions. Those trades I showed you earlier, those were in my live trading sessions. I'm going to give you access to those courses. You can watch me find, set up, select, and manage my trades. Okay? You can follow along with me if you want to. Then we're going to hold office hour sessions twice a week during the implementation month. We're going to walk through the system step by step in real time. Our prior attendees have said this is one of their favorite parts of the course because they can watch that repetition and it helps cement the concepts in their head. Now, if you're worried about stocks and all that being too much, our last bonus is the SPX paycheck system. This is where I take the entire course, boil it down to something you can do in as little as 15 minutes a week. It's one trade a week. It's on one symbol with one setup rule, one profit rule, one stop criteria. It's simple. It's easy. My teammate Brian taught this to his then 14-year-old daughter, and she did it. For a lot of my students, this is the primary strategy they use. So as a recap, with today's offer, you get the Complete Options Paycheck Training Program, 8 training modules, videos, checklists, cheat sheets, quizzes, and more. You get the bonus mastery package, the implementation month bonus, and the SPX paycheck system. The total value of that is $54.75. So here's the opportunity in front of you. I'm going to roll up my sleeves, work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. If you choose to be one of them, together, we're going to create an income system in your portfolio, even if you've never had success with options before. We're going to do this. You're going to do this. So if you want me to join, if you want to join me, have me take you by the hand and help you install an option income system in your portfolio, then instead of that $5,000, the early bird price of the course is $12.95. Now I realize that you've spent about an hour with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give those of you on our session tonight a special bonus. If you order the course before the end of our live session tonight, it's down to $9.95. That means you get the full course, 1 year of access to the course materials, the mastery package, the implementation month, all for $9.95. The $9.85 will be for those who register before we finish up today. Once we finish, the price goes back up to $12.95. All you got to do, go to www.optionspaycheck and get yourself registered. Now listen, I know that $9.95 is a lot to ask, but you got to ask yourself, how much money are you going to lose by trying to do this by trial and error? How much profit are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy are you going to spend trying to do this on your own? And listen, you've probably bought courses before that promised great things and didn't deliver. We have that money back guarantee. The onus is on me. How would things be different if you did this and it worked? You know, there's an old expression that says the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you can be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. Do you know when the second best time is? It's today. It's not too late to begin to prepare yourself for retirement and learn to generate income. Today is going to be one of those deciding days in your life. Is it going to be the day you decide to take action and set yourself up for a secure retirement? Or is the day you look back where you squandered an amazing opportunity to create a consistent income stream? Don't regret the decision. Don't miss this opportunity. I look forward to working with you in class. So again, go to www.optionspaycheck.com, register right now. That $9.95 price is only available while we're live in the webinar. So if you've never taken the Options Paycheck course before and you want the lowest possible price, now's the time. After the webinar, the price goes back to $12.95. So listen, if you know it's right for you and you're joining me, type 2 words in the chat box. Just say I'm in. We're going to welcome you to the class by name. Now, before I break into the Q&A, let me cover some of the most common questions I hear. And first is, when are the live sessions? What if you miss one? Here's your schedule. The live curriculum starts next Tuesday. We have a welcome session at 4:30 where we're just all going to get together. We're going to tell you about the resources, where everything is, make sure you know everything that you need to know to start the course. On Wednesday of next week, we have our first mastery session. So for those of you that are signing up right now and that are in, you're going to get access to the course pretty much right away, within probably an hour or so. You can start going through the material. By next Wednesday, please watch Module 1. You're going to get access to VectorVest and Options Pro on August 1st. That's fine. You don't really need it before then. Okay. Module 2's mastery sessions on Thursday. So by next Thursday, I want you to watch both Module 1 and Module 2 in our university site. Then we're going to get together and discuss them live to answer questions you have. Then we have a Friday Q&A at noon. All of these are recorded. So if you can't attend the live sessions due to your work schedule, it's not a big deal. You can watch the recordings after they're done. You're fine. 30 to 40% of our students don't even come to, one live session a week because of their schedule. You are going to be fine learning based off the recordings if you can't attend the live sessions. If you can attend the live sessions, that's nice too. That's what you're going to do essentially in August. You're going to learn the system. That way, the last week of August and into September, you're ready to implement. Then you're going to get access to my live trading courses, my live trading classes. I do this on Monday at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., with the exception of Labor Day, where I move it on to Tuesday. And then on Tuesdays and Fridays, you're going to see my office hours. These are, again, where I'm going to go through the repetition of finding trades. I actually look for trades after the market closes on Tuesday. That's kind of nice for people that can only look at this stuff at night. I'll show you how to put orders in for the next day. You're going to see the repetition of finding and taking these trades over and over again. So we're going to get a lot of time to work together, learning and then doing. Now, another one of our prior attendees, Greg, he said, prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away from me, and I feared if I didn't fix it, I'd lose more of my portfolio than I could afford to lose. After taking the options paycheck, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. In the first month, I made a net of $10,200 for my options income trading with 9 winners and 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was done very well. It was very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity that I'm thankful I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You'll make more in the first month than you paid to take the course. I was one of those fencers who didn't take the course for a long time when I saw it offered. I lost a lot by not taking this program sooner. I'm very grateful and appreciative of the work that was put into making this training program available. Now, for those of you that are newer to options trading, common questions: how much options experience do you need? We poll all of our prior attendees, and we have found that 85% of course graduates said you can be successful with little to no prior options experience. Here's just a few more of our prior attendees that left us some great feedback. Cheryl's surpassed her expectations. She doesn't need the money back guarantee. I tripled her investment. Frank, after taking the course, I already have a profit of $7,300. Before the course, it was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the options trades I'm doing. Cam, I've made back the initial investment so many times over. Even though it's a small part of my portfolio, it's probably the most profitable. Jake, I finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. Some more from our more recent attendees. Neville said, thanks for a wonderful course where within a short period of time you open our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, and your desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of thought into the training manual, already paid for the tuition with a few Delta 35 trades. David says the options basic experience is by far the best course I ever attended all my years. With VectorVest, it's 99. You've eliminated my fear of trading options. The manner in which you presented the material is truly outstanding. Ben, the attention I received for all my email questions is above and beyond what I expected. A lot of my questions were demonstrated in class, made my learning much easier. Great job. So again, take advantage of the situation. Take advantage of this price, $9.95. It's the lowest price you're going to pay unless you've taken the course before. Go to www.optionspaycheck.com. Get yourself registered. Remember, I know the $9.95 is a lot of money to ask. We also have that money back guarantee. All you got to do is put your trust in me. I will teach you how to do this. I've been doing this for 8 years. It's a core part of my trading strategies, and I would love to share it with you. So with that, I'm going to bring in my colleague, Brian. He is going to kind of moderate the Q&A, and we'll answer any questions that you might have.
All right. Hey, Ron.
Hey.
Well, I was I was encouraged today by a couple of comments that we got. Because encouraged isn't even the right word, but you sparked me to say this because earlier you're going through all these testimonials and comments and emails and things you get from prior students, and you and I saw today we have a live chat with our current students, or I should say current members of VectorVest. And somebody posted in the chat, they just said, hey, has anybody done the 3% option program? And then we had a couple of people write back later on that afternoon, and we had Stuart write back saying, the options paycheck course is what I think you're looking at. It is, oh, Ron's got it right there. It's an excellent course, and Ron Wheeler, incredible instructor. So that came in today from Stuart. And then you could see Ron's there got Terry, who then followed up to Stuart's response saying, I second that comment. Incredible instructor with a wealth of knowledge, willing to share his honest opinion. The course is worth every dollar and then some. And those just came in, what was that, 3
o'clock, yeah.
Yeah, less than 3 hours ago. So we hope that you're going to join, and hopefully you're going to be the next ones who are encouraging other people to take it, because you've seen the awesome results that other people have gotten over the years. So we look forward to having you on board. Just a reminder, the $9.95 rate is good while we're live here. And then it goes to $12.95. All you got to do is go to optionspaycheck.com. And then registration actually closes for good for everybody next week. A couple of other quick pricing comments. Number one, we had a question from one of our elite subscribers saying, hey, what is the price for elite members? Well, for those of you who don't know, VectorVest has been in business for multiple decades. So we've got members of VectorVest who've been with us for a very long time and have reached elite status. So they get discounts on courses. So the $9.95 is the elite price all the time. So an elite member can get the $9.95 price all the way up until registration closes. If you're not elite, the $9.95 good is good right now. And then it'll go back to $12.95 after the session. The only other comment I'll make is, if you've taken this course before, let's say you took it a couple of years ago and you're like, man, I really want to just get a refresher with Ron and kind of sit in on his live classes and just go through it all over again, just as a refresher, then you actually get an alumni discount, because you've already paid the price of the course one time. You can go through the whole thing all over again for $495. If you qualify for that, then we would have sent you a private email with a special link, or you could just call our office and we could help you out. Woo! All right. So we had a couple of questions. The one from Jerry, you already answered. He said, when will the course start and run through? And then you went through the calendar. So Jerry, if you do have other questions, let us know. And then, okay, so Jerry, oh, there you go. Jerry's actually typed in. He says, I believe I took this course years ago, and I'm interested in taking it again. And we were able to pull up your account and write back a special link just for you. So welcome. And it looks like Ron's screen just went blue for some reason.
It did. Yeah, for some reason, I stopped sharing my screen. I guess I'm clicking around too much. There we
go. There you go. All right. So we have a couple other questions to get to. We did get a lot of them answered in the chat. One of the things that I think answers a lot of questions, Ron, is to give everybody kind of a sneak peek of what the course looks like on the inside, because some people are like, man, I'm spending $995. Is this just a thing with a few videos and not a lot of support? I think a lot of people are surprised at just how many resources you give them, like not just videos, but you give coaching sessions, you have cheat sheets, you've got checklists, you've got supporting videos with brokers. So I thought it would be a good thing to show the people who have just bought what it's going to look like when they log in tonight. And the people who are thinking about it, this would be a good thing to show them so they could see, all right, well, once I order, this is what I'm going to get. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Ron.
Sounds good. So if you think a few videos, you're absolutely right. If by few you mean like 80. But here's what the university site looks like. And I said, I remember talking about how, you're going to go to the university site. First thing is, over on the left, you're going to see our kind of like our table of contents. This is like the lessons and the resources. And then in the middle, this is kind of like the video. So if I want to watch the Watch Me First video, I just hit play.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to
okay. Now, one big thing I'll tell you right now. Some people always say, Ron, the screen's really small. How do I get it bigger? Well, you can get the video bigger by clicking the little maximize button in the corner. Just click that guy right there. Now you've got a big screen. And all this welcome video is, it just talks about some of the stuff we actually talked about in our session tonight. Just a quick reminder of what our goals are, what we're going to do in the Options Paycheck experience. I mentioned that we're going to have a live welcome session next Tuesday. Well, if you open that up, if you miss it, you'll be able to see the recording right there. In the live welcome session, if you can't make it live, it's still a good thing to watch, because we go through the process of where you're going to find everything, all of the nuts and bolts of the courses. It's a really good recording. Like I said, usually takes about 30 to 45 minutes. And then down here, this is super important as you're getting started. The course curriculum checklist right there. Click on that guy. And then I want you to print this out. There's one thing that's super, super important on this. And it's on the last page. You can see it's one of 6 pages. Go to the last page. And this is the schedule of all of our live events over the next, I'm just going to say 2 months, July through the end of September. So the way this works is about 24 hours before our live sessions, we send you a link. We know that links can fail. You get clutter, junk, spam. They just disappear. Who knows, right? This is a schedule. If you ever find yourself saying, uh-oh, I got a class here in like 20 minutes. I don't have a link for it. All you got to do is under the lesson area, scroll all the way to the bottom. It's the last thing on the list, and you're going to see live webinars. Click on the live webinar button, and then right here are all of the links that you'll need through all 8 weeks of the curriculum. So not all of them are active yet. We've got the ones that are active for the first week. So like if it's Tuesday and you're like, oh, I don't have a class, I don't have a link tonight, right there, live welcome session, click on that link, boom, takes you right to the class. Okay, so that's pretty important. I'm going to scroll back up, and then on that same curriculum checklist, I'm going to scroll back to the first page again. And the nice thing about this checklist is it gives you kind of a list of everything we want you to accomplish for the modules. So in module 1, I want you to do all of these things. That means watch the snapshot, the lessons, the module review. Well, if I go over here under module 1 and I click on the recorded lessons, there's those videos, the snapshot 1, 2, 3, 4, the module review and action items. Now, every module has an action item. What we want you to do is we want you to practice what we're teaching you. Now, you don't have to turn the modules and turn the assignments in or anything like that. But if you have questions on, hey, did I do this right? By all means, shoot us a message. Shoot us a message. Also in that area, you're going to see that we have an action item walkthrough. So if you don't know how to do the action items, we make videos that kind of walk you through it step by step. You can pause the videos. You can do it, on your own. We have a frequently asked questions section. And then at the bottom of each of our modules, you have the area where you'll find the recording for the mastery session. So like next Wednesday is our first mastery session. If you can't view that live, give it about 24 hours. Usually it's way faster than that, but I always like to, under promise and over deliver. You're going to see that date change to July 31st. Okay? And you'll be able to watch that recording from our new paycheck curriculum. Now listen, if you want to watch this recording here, that's cool. Click on that. That is the mastery session I did from my options paycheck course that I just finished up in June. But that's how every module works, 1 through 8 as I scroll down. Then below the modules, you're going to see the SPX bonus module. A lot of people in the past have told us that, hey, Ron, I started out just trading the SPX trade. I started right from the beginning of the class, and I was able to make some money. That's cool. If you want to go right to the SPX class and start learning that 35 delta trade, that's what I would recommend you do. Start doing it right away. Here is my warning to you. The 35 delta SPX trade and the SPX paycheck material in general tells you the what. Here's what I want you to do. If you want to know the why, do the 8 modules first. So if you're comfortable with going out there, choosing the option that I tell you to do, entering the trade like I tell you to, exiting like I tell you to, buying insurance the way I tell you to, that could be a good strategy for you. That's why, like Brian said, his 14-year-old daughter at the time could do it, because she just went down the list and said, okay, Ron says I need to sell this option on this expiration, buy this one as my insurance, and then I'm going to do this if it wins, this if I lose. She didn't ask questions. There was no like, well, why do I select that? Why do I do this? What is this? If you want to learn the whys and the whats, that's what you're going to learn in the 8 modules. So keep that in mind if you want to try the SPX paycheck first. Right below that are going to be all of your office hours and recording sessions, week 1 through 8. So at the end of week 1, if you open that up, that'll be the Friday Q&A. And as you get into the later modules, you'll start seeing the office hours recordings. That starts, of course, in the last part of August. We have the links from our previous live trading sessions. So once we get into the implementation month, the recordings of our live trading sessions will be stored in here. And then, as I said, on August 1st, you're going to get access to Options Pro. If you want to look at some of the tutorial videos for Options Pro, you can just click right in here. And then there's some videos that help you get started with Options Pro. You don't need to watch those. I will tell you that one of the things that you're probably going to want to be familiar with is a risk graph. So if you watch, the risk graph basics and things like that, that might give you a head start when we get into the options trades. Right below that is the broker help videos. I've got Thinkorswim, E-Trade, IB, Ally, Fidelity. So if you open that up, it talks about how to model a trade, opening the trade, setting alerts, modeling your orders, all that kind of stuff. I think someone earlier asked, did we talk about the risk graph and option and Thinkorswim? Yeah, you'll see that in some of the videos where I talk a little bit about the risk graph. And then, of course, down here is your live webinars, which we talked about originally. And then right down here under resources, we don't actually use the notes area, just the resources. If you click on resources, this is where you're going to find all of the slides. So if you want to print out the slides from all the lessons, you'll find them all right here, module by module. And as we get down in the later modules, you'll see our checklist that you can download, our position sizing worksheet, and all that great stuff. So that is where you're going to spend the next month and a half, month and 3/4 as the base of your knowledge in our university site.
All right, very thorough, Ron. I think you even answered Karen's question, but you mentioned it. Was Karen was asking if you taught how to use the IB or the Interactive Brokers platform. So Karen, if you have additional questions, please let us know in the chat. Otherwise, I hope you saw that Ron had some help videos in there for the IB platform. All right, Karen had a secondary question, Ron. Karen wanted to know, is it easier to trade the S&P than it is to trade stocks using options, and which one gives a better return?
So the answer is they're just as easy. The trade in and of themselves is exactly the same. So the trade is easy. However, stocks require a little bit more effort because you got to find the right stock. You got to do a little bit more analysis to the stock to make sure everything is right. The S&P is simple because it takes away a lot of that stuff. There's no selection criteria anymore. Now it's just the S&P. Do I go bullish or do I go bearish? So it's kind of like that. I will say that, over the last 15 years, the S&P has outperformed my stock trading, but over the last 5 years, the stock trading has, for probably 3 out of the 5 years has taken over for the SPX because the SPX has been a little volatile. I've still made money on the SPX like the last 5 years, don't get me wrong, but stocks have been a little bit, outperforming that. So the SPX is still a winning strategy. Everything is looking pretty good, but stocks lately have been outperforming it just because of the volatility of the market. But over the long haul, the SPX has actually outperformed trading stocks.
All right, so those of you who are in, please check your email. We would have sent you all the details in a welcome email with the directions to log into the course and the dates and the times and all that in a nice welcome email. So please check that out. Also check your junk or spam folder because sometimes it slips right into there. If you find it there, just drag it over to your inbox. And that'd be very helpful because we're going to send you multiple emails throughout the course as reminders and to keep you motivated, let you know what's going on. So please check your inbox for that. All right, so if you have a question, and we have a couple more that we're going to get to here live, but if you have a question, please type it in because if you are on the fence, right, if you're thinking about it, like, is it for me? Is it not for me? We'd rather you find out tonight. Hopefully we could have you slide over to the side of the fence where you give it a shot. Yeah, but if not, if you find out that it's not for you, that's fine too. But we don't want you to leave today's webinar still wondering. Okay, so ask a question, whatever you've got, we'll be here to answer it. But get it in soon because we only have a couple other questions right now in the queue before we wrap up. The one that I see here from Peter, Peter wants to know about scaling, Ron. So he says, does this system scale to higher dollar values or is it based on a certain level of investment?
To an extent, yes. I would say that the scale kind of starts running out when you get into the probably 500,000 range. The reason why it kind of tops out there is because you're trading option spreads. Now, when you start getting into those higher dollar values, you're going to have to trade a lot of contracts, right? And to get filled in the trades, you're going to need a lot of order flow. So when you start taking, okay, now I've got to trade 100 contracts to do this, it's not going to be as effective to get in and out of those trades. So I think it starts anywhere from trading one contract at five, all the way up to $400,000 or $500,000. And when you get up higher than that level, now you've got to kind of implement some other techniques that we don't really teach in the options paycheck.
All right, Peter says that makes sense. And actually, Ron, I think you answered a secondary question, which was the size of account. So you can have you mentioned how big it can get, and you could start with as little as $5,000. But there's a sweet spot, right, Ron, that you would actually say, hey, if you want to dedicate a certain amount of your trading, is there a sweet spot that you would recommend?
Yeah, I like the $25,000 amount, because the $25,000 amount is going to get you to where you can play some stock trades, you can play some SPX trades, you can kind of diversify yourself a little bit, which is nice. So I like that 25,000 level. It's not a ton of money, it's not a little bit of money, but it's kind of like right there smack dab in the middle where you can kind of diversify some of your trades. That's kind of where I like to start at. But again, you saw guys like Brian, not you, Brian, but the other Brian. You saw, Kerry at the beginning with that email where he started with 5,000. You can easily start with that little amount of money and still be profitable. The one thing again that I'm going to tell you, if you're starting with $5,000, be realistic. I'm still telling you, you can make 3% a month on $5,000. That's 150 bucks. But again, that money adds quickly as it goes. So don't expect you're going to open up an account for $5,000. We're going to make you 10 grand in the first 30 days of trading. That can't happen. That would never happen if you're following the rules of our system. It just doesn't work that way, because we would never expose you to that much risk. So be realistic.
All right. And with that, Ron, that's all the questions that came in. So I think we're ready to wrap up. So everybody, just a quick reminder, the $9.95 will be good for a few more minutes right as we finish wrapping up the session. But go to optionspaycheck.com now to get the $9.95 rate. Registration does close a week from today, which is July 30th at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then after that, nobody can get in. Right? Not even if you're an elite member, you can't get in, because we're having our first live session that afternoon. So we need to pull the student list and make sure everybody is registered and ready to go for that session. We're excited. We've been teaching this for a long time, and we know that it changes people's lives for the better. We're hoping that you become one of the next students, and maybe even one of the next testimonials that we get to put on our website. Hopefully you're able to see and read a bunch of them that are on optionspaycheck.com. But with that, Ron, I'm going to pass it over to you for your final thoughts before we wrap up.
All right. Well, thank you, Brian. Thank you for moderating, and thank you to John and Todd in the background. I definitely appreciate it. And thank you to all of you. You spent a good 90 minutes with me, and I appreciate it. I know time is a valuable commodity, so thank you for sure for spending this time with me. And for those of you that signed up for the course, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for putting your trust in me. I know we've got that money back guarantee, but it's a commitment, and I get that. So thanks once again, everybody, and I wish all of you the best of success. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of you next week as we start the Options Paycheck Live. And best of success to you all as you go forward. So thanks once again, everybody, and we will hopefully see you all live next week as we start the Options Paycheck experience. Take care, everybody, and have a great night.